Hello and welcome to New Filmmakers Los Angeles in partnership with Movie Maker magazine. My name is Danny DeLillo. We're here at the South Park Center. I'm delighted to join with Laurie. He's come all the way from Chicago to be with us with her fantastic film, Patient. Let's take a look at the clip.
Okay, so this has happened multiple nights?
On and off, I would say. On and off.
On and off, okay. When was the first time, or how long has it been?
I mean, if I'm really honest with myself, it's been going on for a while.
I'm sorry to hear that. Well, I really hope that we can get to the bottom of this. And where exactly can you point to?
It's right down here.
All right, so it started last night?
Yeah, I'm sure it's just something I ate. You know, give me the once over and give me probably even an over the counter something would be fine, but I'm sure it's not a big deal.
Laurie, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the New Filmmakers LA family, and thank you for bringing Patient. I've got so many questions. For those that haven't seen it, tell us a brief synopsis.
The very brief synopsis is that it's a day in the life at a medical learning facility. The more intense synopsis is that it's about everything, I think.
I am so, I could not take my eyes. I was so intrigued by what I was seeing. I was mystified by this world. And then it was fascinating discovering at the Q&A at the festival of just how much you went through to kind of make it in these small rooms. For you personally, where did this inspiration come from in creating this project?
Yeah, so I read this fantastic collection of essays by Leslie Jamison called The Empathy Exams. And in the first essay called The Empathy Exams, she writes about her experience being a standardized patient or a medical actor or a simulated patient. You'll hear these different terms where sometimes they're, you know, out-of-work actors, retired actors. Sometimes they're just students, and this is like a really little job where they earn like $15 an hour to pretend to be a patient for a student doctor, learning bedside manner and empathy, and they're practicing being with people, basically.
Yeah.
Her essay was just like fantastic, and it showed the layers of reality in the room. You know, like a student pretending to be a patient who has their own memories and is drawing upon their own whatever, grief, alcoholism, whatever, in order to be a different kind of patient. And then there's a student who's pretending to be a doctor who's also a real person, who also might have anxiety, and all of that like energy and emotion and layers are in the room. And I was like, this is amazing. And I started to work on a feature film based on some of my own weird medical experiences and bad relationships with doctors. And then I thought, well, what if my main character who experiences what I did is also a standardized patient? You know, just to make it as layered as possible and really complicated.
I was just so fascinated by this whole thing because like, you don't really realize like how, you ever sit and think, oh, how's the doctor got to be, you know, to me as a medical, like I could not be a doctor because I'd be like too emotional with the patients.
Absolutely.
I'd be like crying my eyes out if there was something bad. But like, it was amazing to see this like play along, and I'm like, and then the way you did it, it was like, hang on a minute, this is real, right? Like, is this real? Like, is this real? And you're like, and it was a fascinating experience where I feel like, did you know you were going to mystify your audience of like,
yes,
breaking out of reality? Because you did a great job with that.
Yeah, I was really, really, especially from the beginning.
Yeah.
I feel like this is just like spoiler alert, should be on the bottom of the screen. Yeah. But from the beginning of the film, I was really interested in like making people connect with the film, be like, oh, this is a totally blasé, like a woman is at the doctor. I get it. I'm connecting with it on a really boring, straightforward level, and everybody can connect. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait, why is there another person doing the same thing? And why is she saying it like this? And why is there a different kind of camera? You know, and having that break down, but then you're already in it. Yeah. And so then now you're connecting with like the deeper layers. And I'm happy to say that whenever I've shown it, like it works.
It does. I was like, if I just switch multiverses, like what is happening right now?
Yeah.
Like, you know, so you really did that for me, and
it's totally a superhero movie, yeah.
No, really, really great job. Okay, so, you know, obviously they've done, you know, they've done some of these things before, which is great. So you actually had people in there that had been through this in terms of casting, but like, how then do you direct this? Like, how does that work?
That's a good question. I know sometimes I feel like, should I even say that I'm a director? So I went to the medical facilities just to do research and observe, to write the feature. And at this particular one in Madison, Wisconsin, everyone that's in the film works at that place, and I met almost all of them on that first day I was there. And they were all just like, I just fell in love with them. And like only 6 months passed and I woke up and I was like, I need to make a short film with just these people in that place and hold on to them. So I sort of like, you know, I knew which ones should pretend to be patients, which ones should be the med students. The administrator plays the administrator. Kathleen is awesome. And then it was really a matter of like learning from them how they do their job and repeating and just being like, what do you normally do here? Like, how do you need me to write the medical case so that you can do your job correctly? Because I didn't write a script, I wrote the cases, and they perform off of these like 2-sheet medical cases, kind of like character descriptions, what we know from Hollywood. And they just knew how to do it, and they were directing the whole thing just by doing their job. That's where it feels almost like, to me, it's part documentary. I'm observing them doing what they normally do. I'm just intervening, you know?
It's also really fascinating to look at like how we are as patients when we're in those spaces. Like, the saddest thing is about myself, I was like, I've been all of those people. Like, I've been needy. I've been like, no, it's fine. Like, I've been.
It's nerve-wracking.
It's nerve-wracking, right? It's a nerve-wracking experience.
And embarrassing.
And embarrassing, yeah. It's like, I don't really want you to see this right now on my body, you know, but I have to show you. So yeah, I think you really got that. It just felt so real. It was amazing. Now, you said you had to kind of do this in quite a tight space. That was a lot of a challenge, right?
These tiny little exam rooms. Pretty much fits like the doctor, patient, a table, and then there's like a little room in the back. So we had 2 cameras, one on the patient, one on the fake med student, and then I had people on each camera. I was standing in the middle, and then there was a sound person, and it was very tight, and they just never looked at the camera, totally ignored us. They cried naturally when they were creating emotion for themselves. I had directed no one to cry, and there were like 3 wet eyes. Wow. And so they just knew how to do their job. Yeah.
What have you learned mostly from this project?
What did I learn most from the project? I think that, honestly, what I'm learning the most right now is that, because I fear that audiences don't want challenging films. That's what everybody tells you. Everybody just wants to escape, and they don't want to think too hard, and they don't want a puzzle. And I made a little puzzle that makes you think about empathy and communication, and it might bring up memories of grief and all this stuff. Yeah. And audiences love it. Or it's been going really well, and everybody has a different way. Like, medical professionals who are with their filmmaker spouses in the audience will come up to me and be like, "Oh, thank you for making this." Yeah. Like, no, exactly. So I'm just gonna keep making like weird, layered, challenging films.
I'm loving that you're gonna give us more puzzles. Like, that's amazing. I think as human beings, we need to be challenged. We need to understand our own empathy, other people's, experiences, and I love that you did that for us, because I'm still thinking of all the puzzles that you made, and so I'm actually really glad to hear there's an extension of this film. It's going to be a feature version.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
So that would be like, there would be parts of the feature that feel like Patient, where you basically go with the lead character to her job and experience her like jumping into a room, being someone else, having trouble with that student doctor or doing well with that student doctor. But then she has a whole other plot line when she leaves work, mostly in which at the beginning of the movie, she falls and scrapes up her face. And so while she's trying to be at work and be another patient, she has her own visible, real scar.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm just making it more layered, you know what I mean?
I love that you're making us all work hard. I love it. I love it. And that's really, really a joy for us to watch. Aside from the sort of like the layers and the puzzles and the challenges that you kind of give us in this film, like, it is a world that we don't see. Like, is there kind of a layer to it where you want a new audience to kind of like, I don't know, really think about these experiences?
Absolutely. I mean, I think, because I get mad at my doctors all the time, and I should, and you should speak up if you have a bad doctor who doesn't know how to be empathetic, but also it's a really hard job, and so it actually is it helped me be more empathetic towards those who bother to go into the medical profession. Yeah. Because every person that comes in is a completely different puzzle for them. Yeah. Like this idea of standardized patients, you can't standardize people. No. Everyone in this room right now, there are more people in this room. Yeah. Each one of us, if we all came in with a stomach ache, one of us would be crying, one of us would be vomiting, one of us would be like, I don't want to talk about it. Yeah. And then that's the real like complication.
Yeah, that's
same
true.
Problem, but we're all so different. And I doctors have to make those shifts like really quickly during the
Yeah.
day. So it gives me empathy for this horrible, this really
Yeah.
complicated situation.
I will never go to hospital the same way again after watching a film. I'll be
Yeah,
like,
but
so
it also teaches us to like, we have to advocate for ourselves and
Yes,
speak up because
true.
they have such a hard job.
Yeah.
If they're doing a bad job, you have to tell them. If you're not telling them what they need to hear, it is on you a little bit. Like it's a relationship in those situations.
Totally. No,
Yeah.
and that's super important as well. I mean, I think especially from a patient standpoint, you really need to not brush off things if you're concerned, you know,
Yeah.
and put people in the picture because they're not mind readers. So no, that's amazing. As a filmmaker, obviously we've got more puzzles, which I'm excited about, but like, you know, for filmmakers out there, like, you know, I love how you took this from essays. Like what kind of advice do you have for filmmakers out there that kind of want to just jump in with their challenging project or just making a film? Is there things that you go by?
Yeah, I mean, I don't wait for money. I mean, you should pay people
Yeah.
what they're worth,
Yeah.
and you got to figure that out first. People
Yeah.
first.
Yes.
You know, and if you have to arrange your schedule where you don't have where you could spend less on food because catering is like the second most expensive
Yes.
thing.
Yes, it is.
And if you don't need to like pay for a location or build a set, like try to find ways to keep as much of that external stuff as cheap as possible so that you can pay the people, get them to buy into your project and love it with you and feel like rewarded by being a part of it. Then you have everybody mentally in the right space because it really comes down to those people
Yeah, it
and
does.
that team.
Yeah.
And then maybe you can keep the budget low just to make it and see it through. And then
Yeah.
you can always remake it with more money later, which is what so
Yeah.
many people do, right? Whether
Yeah,
it turns into a
100%.
pilot later or a feature.
Yeah.
And it's not, I think proof of concept is a reasonable term, but it also can be really like, it just sounds so cold.
Yeah.
And it's like, maybe you're experimenting, you're playing.
Yeah,
You're
100%.
creating a model, I don't know, you know.
Yeah. No,
it's just-
100%.
You're pre-gaming, right?
Yeah.
That sounds more fun than proof
Yeah.
of concept. You're pre-gaming your feature film or
Yes.
your bigger concept. You're just trying stuff out and warming up, and it can feel really, you can get a lot out of it, I think.
Well, I'm so excited for the feature.
Thanks.
I really can't wait for it. I think it's something that's going to be so fascinating and interesting how some of these stories are going to get, you know, extended and characters, you know, more, you know, even more developed with the feature as well. So really, really thank you very much. Thank you for coming in from Chicago. Thank you for patient. Thank you for flying in. Yeah, welcome to the New Filmmakers LA family. I really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Love everybody.